Hi, I'm back with another vlog from the Oklahoma Women's Blogger Vlog Challenge. Man, that's a mouthful. So today's challenge was to do a book review, and I chose the book 11/22/63 by Stephen King. Um, that stands for November 22nd, 1963. And the premise of the book is there's the main character, through a series of circumstances, discovers a time portal in a diner up in the Northeast. And every time he passes through the portal, it takes him to a moment, exact same time in history. Every time he comes back, only 2 minutes in his present has passed. So he can be gone for 10 years and he comes back and only 2 minutes have passed. Hi, Harry. You want to sit with me?
Yeah.
Okay. And every single time he goes through the portal, it takes him to the exact same time in history. It's a reset. He keeps on talking about how it's reset. Nothing has changed. It's reset back to exactly how it was. So even if he changes things, once he goes back through the portal, it resets history and it's back to normal. So anyway, he becomes convinced that if he can stop the Kennedy assassination, history as we know it will be completely changed and completely better. He's convinced himself that if Kennedy lives, Johnson won't become president, and therefore Johnson won't get us into the Vietnam War. He's convinced that Martin Luther King won't be in the same place in time and won't be assassinated. And if he's not assassinated, there won't be any riots. And so he feels like if he can do this thing, life will be much better. Millions, he's convinced he will save millions of lives, stopping the war, yada yada. However, he has to hang out in history for about 4 or 5 years because it takes him to the time in history about 4 or 5 years before the assassination. So majority of the book is spent him just hanging out, living life in the late 50s, early 60s, and learning what possible changes and consequences he is going to create. So I'm not going to give anything away because the idea of Kennedy living is, who knows? It's a really interesting concept. But I personally love time travel books and movies because if you think about it too hard, it can really mess with your head. But Stephen King does an awesome job of making it actually kind of believable, and the theory of multiple realities and how if you mess with one, it could affect another, and what are the consequences if you mess things up too badly. So I would highly suggest this book. Even if you're not a science fiction fan, this isn't really science fiction. It feels a little bit more like a kind of a history novel. However, I've been warned that it's an extremely long book, but I wouldn't know because I read it on my Kindle. Here's my Kindle. As you can see, I've finished the book. And on the Kindle, you have no idea how long you're reading or how much you've read, because just down here, it just gives you the percentage of how far into the book you've read. So you could be reading a 1,000-page book, but you have no idea that it's 1,000 pages because it doesn't feel like 1,000 pages. And it doesn't tell you how many pages you've read, it just tells you how far into the book you've gotten. Not by pages, by percentage. So I've gotten used to my Kindle that way, and now when I do read a regular book, if it happens to be a really heavy one, sort of like Game of Thrones or something like that, I'm sitting in bed, I'm just like, oh, this is so heavy, I can't hold this up to my face, and I just all of a sudden, like, it's become a burden to hold a book up. White people problems right here. So I've gotten used to my Kindle and I really enjoy it. The other thing, one word of warning with your Kindle, it's extremely easy to buy books. When you finish reading a book, you just click to the Kindle store and you're like, yes, I will buy that. Click, and boom, it's right there. You don't have to wait to go to Barnes & Noble the next day or the next week. You don't have to actually, well, they do have the price, but it doesn't seem as bad as buying like a hard copy at the bookstore. But if your husband gets the emails of what you've bought the next day, then he might remind you, you realize that those books that you're just clicking left and right actually cost us money. So, but reading is good for you, right? So it's money well spent. And Kindle books are usually a little bit cheaper than the actual books, paper, hard copy, soft copy, whatever. Anyway, sorry, this has gone on a little long. Get the book, 11/22/63. Read it. Let me know what you think.